but Ultra Prime changed too. They left open the Xin Zhao instead of the Lee Sin, which they just automatically first pick this time. No one banned the Zeri. They completely go away from that. They're going to be willing to give that one over to Anyone's Legend. Also taking away the Akali instead of the LeBlanc. So LeBlanc will be open for Forge this time around if he wants it. It has been his other standout pick on the board. We're going to see. Do Anyone's Legend want to go towards the Zeri at all? Mazel, they still have time. They still have time. If it goes through blue-red first rotation back to blue, I am a little bit mind blown.
I mean, you saw Betty come out on top with the Chinks last game. I don't know. Maybe they're feeling like they can get the lockdown needed to take down Zeri, as that was the key to the puzzle in game number 1. But nope, they're not going to let it go. And Zeri is picked up by Betty for the first time of the series.
Yep, and they will have the Jarvan on their side as well, so won't have to worry about that annoying Cataclysm getting the best of them, having the Zeri alongside them. So nice for Anyone's Legends. Now for Ultra Prime, I think Jinx is what we would speculate ourselves. It is what we've been seeing. Caitlyn, another viable option, right? I think we have seen it fall off a little bit in terms of the priority that AD carry players put on it here in the LPL. But when we talked about Zeri's laning phase being one of her big weaknesses, I mean, that is a weakness that Caitlyn is one of the best at exploiting.
Yeah, and honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing the Caitlyn Morgana locked in here for Ultra Prime. I would love to see ShiauC whipping that one back out. Obviously, we've seen ShiauC on the Engage Champions, definitely the go-to, the bread and butter for him and finding a lot of success. But it is the Karma locked in for Ultra Prime. A little bit of flexibility, but we'll see how that all pans out as we go further into the draft.
I love the little grin we saw on Elk's face at the end, because I think Elk has just been sitting here this whole time like, yeah, Zeri's cool. Get tons of like sick mechanical plays you can make with her kit. Again, there's so much more I think unexplored in terms of like her E or like interacting with your W's and things along those lines. But this time, Elk's gonna get to play an aggressive 2v2 laning phase. They will be pretty fragile in terms of like there's a Nautilus and Jarvan on the opposite side, so very easily gankable below summoners, and then they can't push and hit turret like their bot lane would. So definitely room for Anyone's Legend to exploit this 2v2 coming out from Ultra Prime.
Question for you. We've seen Elk on the Zeri twice in a row now. Does it feel better to do well on the Zeri yourself or to do well against the Zeri? I think that's a big question because, you feel good when you're on the Caitlyn, you can smash a Zeri in lane.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think in terms of feel, it feels way better to smash a Zeri. Playing Zeri well, I think, is probably more visually pleasing.
More fun for the fingers, at least. You get to run around very quickly and clicking all over the place.
Doesn't exactly feel the same. This will open up Anyone's Legend to a different mid laner, like we said. Akali hasn't banned. Last 2 games, they picked mid in first rotation. LeBlanc still being left open. There is a Xin Zhao and Karma on the opposite side, so I can understand how for Anyone's Legend that wouldn't be the pick for them with how much durability there is. So they actually are the ones who ban it out. Now Forge, we're going to get to see what he does. Is Forge even willing to blind pick, right? Because I'd say Forge's champion pool isn't the best blind pick champion pool in the LPL.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that all pans out. I do like the Nautilus for QiuQiu, but looking into that second phase, it is going to be important. I really can appreciate the change in focus, at least of the bans for Ultra Prime. They've definitely honed in on what they want to get rid of. And Anyone's Legend have honed in on what they want, and it's taking away the Ryze from Cryin.
Yeah, so we still have some options left open. There are things like the Victor available. I was going to highlight the Anie. I was going to highlight it. Anie is another thing that is able to come out against this.
I love it.
They go for it. Cryin going back to the pick that brought him a little bit of infamy at Worlds. Had some bad performances, had some good ones as well. Does quite well into the Ryze matchup in laning phase. You just have a ton of range coming out, the movement speed you get from your shield, and then bam, my God, Betty in team fights. If he steps too close, Tabor's going to one-shot him.
Yep, and now you have the setup from the Renekton too. Why does it feel like Ultra Prime were planning this the entire time, Lyric? Because it's terrifying. Feels like they were so quick to pull the trigger on the answers, right? The Caitlyn came out really quick. The Karma took a little bit more time. The Anie was instantly locked in. The Renekton picked up quickly. And now it's on the other side for Anyone's Legend. Do we finally see the tank come through? And it is true. ZDZ will be piloting the Ornn.
And it's interesting, right? Because ZDZ has been a top laner who's been pretty averse to this. Unlike ZS on the opposite side, who's loved tanks, ZDZ has primarily been a carry player. The Graves, the Jace, the Gwen, has a couple Camille games. But I think very clear distinction in both comps right now. For Ultra Prime, they are trying to smash you. They are trying to put your face into the pavement until you don't have a face anymore. Strong laning phase in the bottom lane, having things like the Renektons and Zhao on top side. For Anyone's Legend, a lot more scaling coming through with the Ornn and with the Zeri. Do still have some pick tools there coming out through their mid-jungle combo, though.
You absolutely do. And I think, jungle is going to be a big spotlight early on, like it has been the last couple games. See what that early pathing leads, see what kind of aggression we get, because both games have seemingly been pretty slow up until that about 11-minute mark, and then we get the chaos unfolding and the wonders that come with that. But it is Hacker versus Xiaohao to start us off, and looking how that coincides with the bot lane carries that we've had in both games so far. Elk and Betty are the late game carries that we have to keep our eyes on.
Elk gonna be the one that needs to step. Cryin as well. Can have so much pressure in this matchup. You'd expect he's probably gonna go towards that Predator, which is what he was running when he was bringing out the Anie before, and putting on threat to Betty so we can't find ways to take over these team fights.
Well, here we go. You see the logos flash across your screen. I am oh so excited to bring us into our first full series since the Lunar New Year break. We are into Game 3 between Ultra Prime and Anyone's Legend, and at this point, it's Anyone's series.
Both teams posturing on the bottom lane, gonna sniff each other out. Nothing going to come from this. A quick note, Cryin is still going with the Predator, so we know he's going to be playing to impact sides. I think it should be pretty obvious that ideally it would be the bottom lane, right? That is where you have the Caitlyn Karma. That is this artillery piece that wants to be hitting turrets. There's an Ornn on the opposite side of the map at top. You're not going to be able to get too much done against there, so for Ultra Prime, I think it's looking through mid, making sure that, Xiaohao's not just going to gank Cryin. He's not left unharmed. You can win out those 2v2s as Ultra Prime, and then bringing that down to bot lane like we saw in Game 1.
So then I guess the question for me is Anyone's Legend fine, being a passenger in this car until 20 minutes? Are they okay with letting things kind of be dictated by Ultra Prime as they get ready to have their team fights and their setup? And is that meaning that the ball is really in Ultra Prime's court for this early game?
Definitely ball being in Ultra Prime's court. I don't think Anyone's Legend can just passively sit by, though, for the fact that Elk and ShiauC can get so much done to this turret up against Betty. Betty doesn't have a great way of life clearing, right? Again, you only get even the pierce shots after you do go with your dash and your E. Everything single target. You got to charge up the attacks. Sure, you can use your Q decently liberally, but you still don't have, an amazing mana pool either. So
that range disadvantage is what I'm looking at. Like the fact that ShiauC can just continuously poke with the Karma, but as well as if Betty steps up for an instant to try to get some of these minions, Elk is putting that shot right between the eyes.
Yep, like you said, 500 range on the Zeri does not feel too good in the bottom lane. That's why you do rely on your Qs a lot to find advantageous trades or even just picking up minions. But going back to you saying, can Anyone's Legend just be a passenger? No. I feel like you are looking for off opportunities of where you can especially have Xiaohao look to enable Forge. So Forge can be the one getting these first moves, or so you can punish the Anie so Cryin can't find opportunities.
We are getting a bit of aggression down towards his bot side. Xiaohao realizing what's happening, needs to get down there, flashes. Betty in some trouble, flash away as well. Elk committing so hard but doesn't get it. Betty, you've gotten the first kill of the game.
I mean, it almost would have worked out for Elk. We saw there, right? Xiaohao flash over the wall, doesn't even hit his EQ. No knockup landed. Just having enough damage between the three of them to find that initial pick and setting up the Anyone's Legend spot lane for success once again.
50 attack of the 50-foot Betty. That's all I'm going to say. Drop the mic. It was a very close one, though, but overextension from Ultra Prime in their pushing lane.
Right, to be fair, this is how you're looking to play this laning phase. You're shipping down enemy turrets. Sadly, though, your jungler's on the opposite side of the map. We saw that Xiaohao going for the 3-camp into the bot lane gank, and they get punished.
And I was going to say, the vision game was strong for both sides. I mean, I believe that both junglers were actually spotted out in their pathings as well. We had the ward early from Cryin on the Raptors on the side of Xiaohao, and then you see the blue wards on the bot side for Ultra Prime. So very interesting how that early style sets out, but also interesting is the fact that we get our first early kill of the game and our first early action, And to me, does that signal where anyone's legend buy into this early game?
I think it sets them up quite well for the fact that, right, Ultra Prime's bot lane definitely wins in the isolated 2v2 from what we've seen, from just the poke, the range advantage, the amount of punishment they're able to put out. But when it comes to skirmishing, Jarvan and Nautilus bringing way more to the early game than something like a Karma would. So for anyone's legend, I think you feel comfortable to continuously look for these fights around bot side, as long as they are, 3v3s, as long as Cryin isn't the person who's getting here first and being able to find these picks.
Hacker was spotted out by the wards. They didn't know that the wards were there. Xiaohao sticking around, and now Chocho goes for the engage, and Hacker has no idea what has just been sprung on top of him. He goes down, and that's 2 kills for AL on the bot side of the map.
Mazel, you talked about the vision, Hacker being spotted out, and Xiaohao just realizing they know the play that Ultra Prime are going to have to make. They have no summoners on their support. They have no heal onto Caitlyn. Caitlyn needing to be able to answer the wave that was pushed in before. They're going to have to be guided by Hacker. So Hacker looking for the aggressive play to capitalize off that he would probably have to be here anyway. And Xiaohao just reads it accordingly, and they find another kill.
I can't believe it. Xiaohao was trying to back for that long time, but then they started smelling something out, and they realized that, Hacker is just sticking around forever. He desperately wants to make something happen. I think that's just a good heads-up call from anyone's legend and Chocho on that immediate engage the second they saw Hacker. It's a good setup here as we do get to that first dragon potentially. We've been pretty late on the dragon so far, but I want to see if anyone's legend, again, try to put the pressure up with this early advantage they've gotten.
They might be, especially with Forge going to be hitting level 6 soon, right? We see Xiao is still pathing towards his bottom lane. I think you look for a rinse and repeat. On the opposite side, Ultra Prime going to look to punish ZDZ, but look at ZDZ's inventory. Yeah. He's already picked up a Bramble Vest, already has another cloth armor on top of it. I think he should just be chilling.
He is doing fine on his own, and that's exactly what you want for anyone's legend. He is the bolster of the late game. He is the ornament holder as the game goes on, and really an unlocker of that late game scaling for your team. And on top of the scaling you already have for anyone's legend, you see both junglers pathing back down towards this bot lane. This is more of the feel I was looking for the other 2 games, right? Where we're just constantly getting pressure down towards the bot side.
Yeah, this game definitely matching with expectations from pregame the most. Nice to see both teams just constantly funneling in. For Ultra Prime, we're going to have to start seeing them being able to get Cryin down here as well.
ShiauC's already half health here. Chocho does not have the re-engage, but Xiaohao does. Ignite, burning flag of drag, connects, and Betty gets the second kill of the game for himself.
And anyone's legend have just continuously punished this pain point, punishing the fact that those summoners are still blown from before. ShiauC doesn't have flash up. They look for the fight once again. And Ultra Prime just very easily falling behind in this early game. Sure, Betty not finding a large CS advantage. Elk has still been able to maintain that. But Betty getting so much gold, already sitting on the Sheen, looking at it back once again.
And for me, something else that's standing out here is you obviously no longer have Cryin with the proactive realm warps, right? You don't have that split-second call, let's kill this person right now and make the odds a little bit more even in our favor. You don't have that. You have the Anie. You have the setup for the team fight. You have the setup for the stun and the damage to follow it up. But you cannot be that proactive player, at least that we saw him being in the previous 2 games.
I think the key is he can't do it autonomously anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
He's gonna need help. He needs Hacker to show in mid first. You have stuns coming from Anie, setting up a Tibbers, forcing out a flash from Forge, pushes Forge back, allows you and Cryin to hold hands and hover down towards mid, which allows for your bottom lane to safely push up. So I think Ultra Prime need to adjust their approach, try and look through mid before looking to bot, because if they just keep running down straight to bot and matching Xiaohao, anyone's Legends 3v3 will win every time.
Well, we do see the opposite focuses, at least for both these teams. We get the Dragon start up by anyone's legend, and Hacker just now making his way to the Rift Herald.
And it looks like they will be able to get that one scot-free. Anyone's legend saying, hey, we don't have confidence we can compete in this top side. Let's instead just trade for Dragon and put more pressure onto this Caitlyn. Because Elk is definitely the win condition for the side of Ultra Prime.
Absolutely.
So as long as you're denying him, I feel like losing Rift Herald on the opposite end isn't the end of the world.
And that's where I was kind of, alluding to a little bit, is like, are AL okay with being a bit of a passenger here? And in this moment, right, that's fine. They want to continue to get stacks of plates for Betty. Meanwhile, the red buff goes to Elk after all is said and done. Ace in the hole on the Xiaohao. It's not going to be enough. AL try to get a bit of an invade, do so, but don't get what they came for.
Nope, and Ultra Prime doing a nice job of keeping up, right? Elk and ShiauC have been maintaining that Xiaohao and QiuQiu not just being able to freely push into their jungle unaggressed, so nice by them. For the side of Ultra Prime now, we're keeping our eyes on where they're going to use the Rift Herald. Top would be the easy spot. Your Renekton's already been winning lane. You could probably look to raise that turret and then start roaming ZS around the map. It does mean, though, ZDZ is able to safely farm his minion wave under tier 2, so you will also just passively be losing more of an advantage you would be picking up regardless.
I will say right now, looking at the map, we do have the back coming through from ZS, or actually he stopped the back, but it is the bot lane of Ultra Prime. They're going towards top with Hacker, who has the Rift Herald up there, and I think I see what Ultra Prime want to get going for themselves.
Yeah, so it seems like they're going to go with what we just said, right? They're going to look to raise this tower down top. I like the adaptation that they actually move Elk and ShiauC here, not feeling comfortable laning in the 2v2 matchup anymore, mainly because of that 3v3 that has continuously broken out. On the opposite side, though, AL are responding accordingly. Betty just getting all this free farm, already been able to get a head start onto plates, isn't sharing any XP like Ultra Prime's 3-man core is in this top lane.
TP finally coming out from ZDZ. I was wondering how long it was going to take for that to go through. Realm Warp is up here for anyone's legend. The Ornn Horn has been called. Not going to hit anybody, though, as the Rift Herald does get the charge off, too. So that's 4 plates for Ultra Prime on the top side. Now Cryi's coming up here with Tibbers at the ready.
And he does have the Predator ready to go. At the very least, they're going to try and show so they can force anyone's legends away from this turret with the threat of a potential dive.
That's a juicy Tibbers if he can get in there. He misses it. Oh, no. I can feel that, though. You get all high and hyphy a little bit there, and it gets scary. Betty in a 1v1 against ZS. You're still an ADC, but you are Zeri, and you've got the clutch. Betty comes out with the 3rd kill of the game. Throw those fingers up. Throw those thumbs up.
Nice to see him from him, able to kite out the engage coming out from ZS. Gets the dash off, reducing the cooldown, pops the ultimate to get the overcharge, and ZS quickly realizes, hey, I effed up. What am I doing here? We're going to go straight into the replay, though, right? This is the charge. You get a really nice auto off the start. The overcharge comes out, so he does get the more movement speed. It's stacking up as well. Goes for the W into the flash with the Q, and just overall really nice coming out from Betty, seeing a bit more of what Zeri can do than really Elk had the chance to show last game.
There's a movie based off the 50-foot Betty. Like, you can't just come up to that. Come on. A little bit of jokes aside, Betty piloting that one beautifully, but more so, it's the year of the ADC, baby. You can't no longer do that, ZS.
No, and again, we just saw really good use coming up from Betty. For anyone who doesn't know, for all your charged attacks that hit, your E cooldown gets reduced, so Betty doing a nice job in that fight of why ZS was so threatened of another potential dash being able to come out so he wouldn't be able to follow up with the chase. In the end, it didn't mean anything, and now 3-0-1 on the Zeri right now. Going to be keeping up this pressure. Funnily enough, even though both teams just traded side on the map, no first turrets going down.
Not just yet, which is an interesting one for this game so far, as each game has given us a little bit of a different flavor of waiting, it feels, in terms of kills, objectives. Is it the towers now that we're waiting on getting? But all comes with time, as anyone's legend are pushing themselves up. Bot side, though, Betty in some trouble, has to use the Ultra Shock Laser as well as the Spark Surge to get away.
Is able to get out scot-free. I also love QiuQiu just blindly throwing hooks into brushes. He doesn't care how many of you are there. If someone is there, QiuQiu is looking for you. As QiuQiu.
That's another one of those Chad flashes. It was close, but not going to get it this time.
And this is why, Mazel, right? Earlier in the day, we were talking about enchanters, and like you want to see them, you want to see more diversity in the LPL. It'd be cool. I don't want to see LPL supports on enchanters. I want to see LPL supports on tanks. It's been very evident over forever that just they are so much better on these champions. As QiuQiu is going to look for it every time it's off cooldown.
Every time. Predator has been Papa Cryin. He does have Tibbers, but it is anyone's legend actually pulling off of the dragon.
ZDZ, no teleport. ZS does have teleport on the opposite side, so I think anyone's Legend conscious of the fact that they don't want to, you know, be at a numbers disadvantage. Even in mid lane, Forge was having to answer a wave as well, which gave Ultra Prime time to get in. So even if for whatever reason you could dissuade the TP top, Ultra Prime will have positional advantage.
Got Xiaohao down here in a lane gank, a little bit late, 14 minutes in. I love it. Anyone's Legend potentially bait out a fight here just to get Ultra Prime off kilter. Oh, Piltover Peacemaker stops the back from QiuQiu. It will just be a reset from Xiaohao, though, as Hacker tries to get his bearings on this game. Still, Ultra Prime looking for their first kill, looking for the first tower, looking for something here, as the rest of anyone's Legend getting stronger and stronger as the scaling comes to fruition for them later in the game.
I also really like how we're seeing Betty pilot the Zeri right now. Again, this is our first time seeing it on red side. Him continuously looking for the poke over that tri-brush wall. Yeah. Even when he doesn't, even earlier when he didn't have vision, just consistently looking for, you know, maybe if ShiauC's going for a back or maybe spotting out of hackers here, because that, your W does give you vision as well. So Betty showing us one of the cool, you know, little kind of ways of playing Zeri down to this bottom lane on red side.
Here we go, though. QiuQiu taking half his health from damage as they set up for the second Rift Herald of the game. Looks like Ultra Prime want to go ahead and give this one up.
They're going to be respectful. We see Elk is down in the bottom lane. Caitlyn, as we highlighted, was supposed to be their big damage piece. So speaking of damage, just looking at items, right? 3 mythics on the side of anyone's Legend, only 2 right now for Ultra Prime, and this is their top side. So Elk, now having the Kraken Slayer, will be able to pack a bit more of a punch, but Betty definitely ahead in terms of the item department. And
nothing really for Ultra Prime to secure during that time, so they kind of were waiting around, see if anybody overextends a little bit, but since there was no objectives on the opposite side of the map, just kind of seeing what would happen as anyone's Legend.
So, Mazel, would you say anyone's Legend got that objective for free?
I don't want to tilt Munchables, all right? I don't want to tilt myself a little bit at this point. Cryin has the Predator, does not get it onto Betty, but they know where they need to focus. They know they have to take down Betty if they have any hope of clearing these team fights.
It's just going to get so much worse, right? Because I feel like as a 5-man against 5-man, Ultra Prime will struggle quite heavily. Anyone's Legend just have a better front line. They have more CC to lock you down and target out specific units. For Ultra Prime, you're kind of playing a bit of a pick composition at this point, because the gears of the game have already gone in a way you don't want, but I'm going to pause as Cryin has to get the hell out of here.
He is not in a happy place right now. The Rift Herald spawned down. Tibbers is available. The stun available for Cryin. Does he go onto Forge? There you go, but the damage not enough. Forge connects to Everfrost, and there's the CC chain as well as the tower falling. It's all just a beautiful dance for anyone's Legend.
And anyone's Legend have already made it so impossible for Ultra Prime to move the wheels of the game forward, right? Because I feel like when you look at Ultra Prime's comp, a lot of its win conditions are into the fact that we are playing from an advantage because these champions are meant to find early game advantages. But they're being set so far behind, they're never going to be in a position to take those fights.
That ass popping the Dominus on arrival does save the tier 2 tower by the skin of its teeth, but does save it, and it will live to tail another day, at least for a little bit longer. And I think that's important for Ultra Prime, saving these towers going down, saving a little bit of this gold that's been going into anyone's Legend's pockets. But with Betty in the mid lane, the mobility of anyone's Legend is really going to start coming to bear, Lyric.
It is, and you know, we love bears here in the LPL, Yogi being one of my favorites, but we're going to get to see a replay of down in bot side. AL just transferred their pressure from mid after pushing it away down to bot. Cryin really having nothing he's able to do in the situation. And it goes to highlight that I'm surprised Ultra Prime in the laning phase didn't put more prio on this mid laner. Sure, Ryze will be able to push you in, but Anie has more trade threat coming out, more burst available, but they didn't put any threat or any target at all onto that Ryze.
Well, and that's where I feel like it was dictated by Xiaohao a lot, right? Like, yes, Ultra Prime. Oh my God, that max. Oh goodness. But it's, you know, Xiaohao's getting in the face of Hacker, not letting them, you know, pick apart the plan and find a way for Ultra Prime to really succeed around that mid lane, and being forced to fight reactively into a lot of what anyone's Legend is putting forth.
Mazel, that was a very good caster technique where I'm trying to insult Ultra Prime, but you pivoted into complimenting anyone's
Hey, that's
legend.
why I'm here, baby.
There you guys go. Those
here.
are the secrets of the trade being shown to you by Mr. Mazel himself. But hey, you gotta fight.
On to Hacker. That's not who you want to engage onto. Crescent Guard comes out. You've got Dominus in there as well. On the side, though, Xiaohao has a beautiful Cataclysm into the double knockup. And now you've got the lightning crashing around you, Ultra Prime, as Betty has come to town. He's 50 foot tall, don't you know? And that's a triple kill for the AD carry of anyone's legend.
And Betty, once again, like game one, being left untouched, safely firing his damage from over the wall. We saw the elements of the front line coming out from the side of anyone's legend. Sure, QiuQiu got a little bit caught out, but was able to buy time with the stopwatch. And now, man, this looks reminiscent. Oh, anyone's legend sweep a team fight. They not only get jungle camps, they get a tower and a dragon. Oh my God, Mazel, where have we seen this before?
I just get like literally my hair standing up on my arms right now because it's so beautiful to see Betty just go, you know what? It's hammer time. Hit the lightning crash, go over the wall, and just start cleaning house on people. And it's not just Betty. It is the totality of anyone's legend.
And we see them all running forward. ZDZ doing a nice job of like buying space from Elk and ShiauC. Like we said, Betty just left in touch on the opposite side, is able to dash forward, commits the flash in, constantly refreshing the stacks on his overcharge, and you know, able to clean it up. And like I said, not only the dragon got a tower off that play and completely took all the camps in Ultra Prime's right side jungle as well.
Now,
so Ultra Prime getting bled dry.
It is only that 4,000 gold difference, right? This is where they were at last game as well for Ultra Prime. They were able to come back with some fights. So we gotta look at a clean execution. The setup for Cryin, they have to get one of these combos down, Lyric, because they haven't yet.
They're looking for one right now because both Anyone's Legends soul laners are showing these sides. But I gotta say, Mazel, you're saying only a 4K gold difference. It's relative, right?
It is
relative.
relative.
$0 and I have $4,000, true, you are broke and you are envious of me. But if like someone has $100,000 and someone has $104,000, you know, it's not as big of a disparity. There you go.
Doing
basic
math on
life
stream.
lessons with me.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is what the this is the content we needed from Lyric. But it is telling though, right? Like Ryze.
Ornn items, Mazel. Ornn items.
Yes. We'll get to that. But I gotta talk about something holistically here because they picked the Anie in response to Ryze being grabbed up by anyone's legend. But they haven't been able to play around this Anie. They have not been able to find a setup of a team fight with this Anie. And so does that change as we get further into the game, Lyric?
I feel like the problem is going to be, do you have damage? So my answer will be no. Because again, Elk falling further and further behind will just output less DPS than Betty is able to get out later on. And Betty will be safer with the amount of mobility that he does bring. Also, just looking at mid laners, right? Forge, Fimbulwinter picked up, getting tankier as it goes. Cryin has the Luden's Tempest, but you know, like, how much does that mean when the enemy are outpacing you so heavily in terms of items?
And that's what I want to check in on now, exactly as you speak about it, is we are looking at almost 3 items for the major carries of this Anyone's Legend squad, where we're struggling. We're just now completing 1.5 items or so on Ultra Prime, and yes, we were talking about gold is relative. Well, it's relatively in Anyone's Legends favor here, as they are about 5,000 gold up now. And it just seems like they have the say around the map, right? Like, there's no objective up for another 2 minutes. There's Baron, but that's not a call that Anyone's Legend want to make right now. So until then, they just roam around the map hoping that Ultra Prime overextend.
And for Anyone's Legend, it's not even just the gold lead, right? It's the fact that them having the Ryze compared to the Anie does give them more pressure on sides, since Ryze is a bit safer in terms of having that realm warp available to be able to escape. And look at the minimap. Anyone's Legends have consistently pushed in bot and top together, and they're looking to play around their Ryze as they should. ZDZ rotating over.
There we go. On to Hacker goes the Cataclysm. Betty is doing so much work, even with the Crescent Guard. He might still die. QiuQiu gets a hook onto the wall. There's the depth charge. Not utilized just yet, but Betty gets himself a 7th kill of the game.
And now for Anyone's Legend, this is an easy parry into a Baron. You don't have a lot of your engage tools, so you gotta be careful. No Call to Forge God, no Cataclysm. But QiuQiu does still have his ultimate. QiuQiu does still have the hook ready if the members of Ultra Prime walk in.
ZS needs to get away. He goes
Cryin.
in. He's going for the gore trick at the timbers. On top, there's the wombo combo. And Betty's gone. You've got Elk fired away for free in the backline here. Forge trying to take him out. But Ultra Prime have finally done it, Lyric. They actually were able to get a fight win in their favor. And ZS barely surviving from the ace of the hole. Is ZDZ gonna go down to ZS and ShiauC? We will have to see. It's gonna be a long. Oh no, ShiauC, is he gonna get clapped? He's not. The root connects, and there you go. Anyone's Legend finally pick up the kill on the ZDZ.
Man, that was so tragic to watch for Anyone's Legend. The only way, honestly, the only way you lose that fight is if you're like, you know, we all just group in the same circle and allow for Cryin to find the best Tibbers possible. We need to remember for Anyone's Legends team comp, it is very short range. Every champion on this coming in close, ZS flashing in to get the stun onto Betty, and then bam, bam, again, everyone just comes together. You get a multi-man Tibbers coming out, and especially onto the key carries, they're able to find the fight, and it's like, hey, I do question the amount of consistent DPS on the side of Ultra Prime at this point, but one thing you know is at least Anie still does bring the burst. Again, I think Anyone's Legend, you know, funneling it together, I think a bit of a mistake against the champions that are up and available on the side of Ultra Prime.
Yo, I'm just saying the confidence from ZS there, otherworldly, my dude. It goes into a 1v5, and then at the end of it, didn't even lose any health, it seemed. Like, that's insanity. And they got Betty, the carry, who has been untouched seemingly this entire game, get the shutdown, and now they get themselves back into this game. Still about 4,000 gold in the deficit, but Baron started up by Anyone's Legend. They do not want to let them breathe, Lyric.
No, they're going to look for, once again, QiuQiu trying to find the engage.
It's rinse and repeat. QiuQiu gets the engagement on the hacker. Crescent Guard is there, but Forge and Betty are still alive. ZS going for another hero play. The Ornn Horn does not reconnect, but ZS is in some trouble now here, and they do not save him this time. ZS dies, another kill for Betty, and the Baron started up yet again by Anyone's Legend.
And for Anyone's Legend, it's rinse and repeat. Wait for them to walk in. They're still funneled into a choke point.
They are, and QiuQiu goes for it again. It's rinse and repeat on lock, baby. As the flag and drag comes through, Betty is still untouched, and Betty is the difference maker right now. They're just going to go right back to it. Third time's the charm, Lyric, as Anyone's Legend do it again. Cryin does not have Tibbers. He does have the stun available. The Baron doing some work onto the health bars of Anyone's Legend here. And Elk able to get some shots in here with the crits, but the Everfrost connects, and ZS is not there to help this time. They do get the one back, but Betty cleans house with Forge, and they're right back onto it. This time, it's the fourth time's the charm.
For Ultra Prime, they felt way too pressured of just backing off and giving that one up. They didn't care if they were at a numbers disadvantage. They thought, hey, we cannot get this Baron over when we've already been struggling in these fights. And we're going to see here, Anyone's Legend look for the engage because they have a beautiful turn potential. ZS trying to zone the members of Anyone's Legends away to allow for their members to be able to get through this choke point. Sadly, when you do that, it does overcommit yourself quite heavily into the fight, which sets up for Anyone's Legend to find the turn with the rest of their team. So just beautiful control of this choke point and not allowing for Ultra Prime to have any vision.
The fact that we see the same engage from QiuQiu 3 times in a row there the exact same way is just insane to me. But it honestly is pretty good for Ultra Prime to keep that pressure up this entire time so well. Obviously, doesn't come out in their favor.
Look, Mazel, there is like a Hall of Lyric for LPL players. It's like the Hall of Fame, but it's way more prestigious.
Okay, okay.
And I gotta say, in this Hall of Fame, there can only be 5 players at any given moment, 1 player in each role. And QiuQiu is in the Hall of Lyric. You know, we got QiuQiu, we got Haro in there, Mole of course, Mole in every position. If I'm being honest,
he's
but,
all 5 of the players.
369, yeah, it's players who are absolutely crazy. They belong in the Hall of Lyric, and QiuQiu definitely fits that bill. Again, he's always been a very aggressive player, especially since we've seen him tangent into a full-time starter in the LPL compared to his sub days on top esports.
And they are just taking out the structures here from Ultra Prime. Forge taking on the world down here as well on his own. And there's really nothing Ultra Prime can do but delay the siege a little bit in this mid and bot lane.
Yeah, we even see the Infinity Force picked up now for Betty. Again, those Ornn items. So even just that way, which we haven't hit on too much about how the scaling is in favor of anyone's legend. Also just getting all of those gold worth of stats coming out from just having Ornn on your side. And for Ultra Prime, you don't actually have great wave clear. Like, Caitlyn, again, single target damage. Karma's not dealing too much damage at this point in the game, especially up against Baron minions. And for Cryin, you have to commit your W.
Yep.
So there's just so much threat coming out from AL, especially when they're playing out multiple lanes like they have been doing.
And I do want to check back into item completions and things along those lines, right? We have the sash completed for Betty, so even if he gets caught by some of the CC here, has a way to get out, has that free ticket, as well as, you know, everybody else completing those third items. Even Forge in the mid lane having 4, and really, it's terrifying, honestly, that this team is so tanky and that they have so much pressure on them. And if I'm not mistaken, is that a gargoyles?
Mazel, you need to remember that this is the LPL, and that as casters, seeing items is quite hard for reasons unspecified.
Am I blind?
140 pixels for good days.
But anyways, we gotta see some more pixels down here because Ultra Prime need to find something. And it did look like Hacker wanted to go for the engage. ZS is on the back here. He gets engaged on by QiuQiu himself. And now the Ornn horn is coming across here too. The lightning crashes. And again, it dashes Ultra Prime. Another flash engage. QiuQiu gets obliterated, but it doesn't matter. Look at Betty. Look at Betty. He's again just a beast. And it's not even close. Betty, the 50-foot-tall monster of anyone's legend. That's a full ace, except for Cryin, who is barely slinking away with sub 200 health. And that is another team fight win, another triple kill. Anyone's legend are here to stay.
Anyone's legend at least going to be able to pivot this one into a dragon take. Looks like Forge going to push out mid first. I wonder if they're going to greed and go for both objectives.
Ace,
looks like Betty kind of hunting down Cryin.
Oh, he's not gonna make it there in time. It will be another solo dragon by Zeri, and it will be Betty actually walking away from the dragon because it's a bit scary. But it is still another objective, and this is also soul for anyone's legend, which is even more monumental to overcome now for Ultra Prime.
Yeah, I mean, again, Ocean Soul coming out, especially when a lot of your damage is damage you would be putting off from a distance, right? The Caitlyn, Karma, Anie coming out. Going to be able to heal that up over time. But we're going to get the replay of what we did see. Again, QiuQiu just been fearless this whole time. Does chunk him in. Betty just on the back line. Does go with the ult right there to get the overcharge, get the more damage, movement speed, attack speed coming out. QiuQiu and ZZ buying so much space for the rest of the team. And this is typically how a lot of front-to-back team fights will pan out, right? Who has, you know, the heavier front line will typically be the one who can come out ahead. When you add in the fact that for anyone's legend, they not only have the tankier champions, but their ADC is also the one that's accelerated, it's just like, yeah, anyone's legend will win a fight any day of the week.
11-1 on the Zeri, just now completing the Titanic Hydra as well. The AoE fights, the just team fights in general are looking so stacked for anyone's legend. They're breaking down the turrets as well, and they're trying to get these side lanes under wraps. But it is not easy, right? Like, Ultra Prime still do have the catch-out mechanics. We've seen it happen once, the Wombo combo come through for them, and it completely turned around the game for that moment. But now we do find them at a 7,000 to 8,000 gold deficit, and that turnaround is a lot harder to achieve.
Yeah, I feel like the big problem right now is the fact that Betty did pick up that QSS, like you mentioned, now also having the Titanic Hydra for even more damage coming out, but can be able to get away if ZS finds that same stun he did earlier. But also, Betty has Flash. So for Ultra Prime, it's like, okay, what's step one? Step one is burn the... Okay.
I was
you have a fight
taking a lot of damage there. Yeah. That's your tank, and he's gone.
I think he just wants to flex the Ocean Soul.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is for sure.
But point is, right, first goal for Ultra Prime is you need to burn Betty's Flash, because as long as Betty has Flash, Betty's not going down.
Yeah, he's so fast, especially with the item completions he has and the backup of the team, right? I think that's the biggest setup. It's like every time we've seen anyone's legend succeeding with Betty, it's because they have so many other things to distract from this champion AD carry in Betty, the one that is the damage dealer, the one you have to watch out for. And let's look at it again in this fight as the Ornn goes onto the back line. Lightning crashes again for Betty, and still he's untouched. They're focusing on the front line. They're focusing on ZDZ, but here comes Forge, all with QiuQiu, and Betty's coming over the wall as well. There is just no chance in hell for Ultra Prime, and Betty is coming again. He's gonna find another triple kill, make it a quadra kill, and anyone's legend pull back the reverse sweep in this best of 3 and come out shining from this series.
It was the X Flash Wolves extravaganza, Mazel. Betty going up against ShiauC, and Betty came in strong.
I can't believe it. It is insane. Coming from game 1, where they were chokeholded out of the game, to come back the way they did, rinse and repeat, not changing sides, and to have such dominant performances. Anyone's legend deserves to take that bow, and that is an incredible series to kick off our super weekend.
And you know, again, just to highlight Betty, I think Betty played the Zeri beautifully. I think definitely showing off a lot more of the mechanical prowess you can have on this champion than we saw from Elk in the previous 2 games. And it's no surprise that Betty can do this. I'm not quite sure where Betty stacks up right